Gold Hill, we are exploring the whole of the Old Testament, taking one book a week and building a picture of what God's great purpose is for our world. You can join us on this journey on a Sunday in person or online, through these video summaries as well as through the daily reading plans, Bible reflections and study notes. All of these can be found on our website, goldhill.org/GGP, as well as links on our Twitter and Facebook pages. Alternatively, for just the resources for Exodus, which we're looking at this week, go to goldhill.org/Exodus. Exodus is a book of deliverance, where we see God delivering his people from slavery and journeying with them through the desert wilderness, and there calling them to be a people of his own. God's promise to Abraham that we see in Genesis is being fulfilled, and his descendants now are in the millions. The problem is, though, they're in slavery in Egypt, suffering oppression, misery, and hardship. What is God's response? Not just to observe them from a distance, but to come down and speak into their situation. God sees, God hears, and he knows what's going on, and God acts. And he's still doing this in the world today, seeing, hearing our cries, knowing what we're going through, and then drawing near as we call on him. In Exodus, we see God calling and using Moses, one of the heroes of the Old Testament, to lead his people, and through God's own power and strength to bring them to freedom. Moses wasn't perfect, but God chose him and used him for his purpose, bringing the message of freedom and deliverance to the people. God chose an imperfect person to fulfill his purposes. As Dave shared in his message last week, God can and wants to use us. He hasn't finished with you yet. He still wants to use us, still wants to draw us close to himself, still wants us to be set apart for him, and still wants us to be people who bring others close to him. From their place of deliverance, God calls his people to obedience, to be his people that follow his ways, calling them from a life as slaves to a life following him. God rescues them and establishes them as a people, setting them apart as his own. He calls them to live as he wants them to live, to be his most treasured possession in all of the earth. In the book of Exodus, God is revealed as a God who sees, a God who hears and acts, and then releases people to then also be involved in his great purpose.